Hi, everyone. And look, I got caught leaning over. Good morning, everyone. It's April Jackson here. Welcome to Sunday Safe Spaces. We're a little earlier this month. And if you're watching on another day, I hope you're watching it at whatever time is good for you. My co host is here, Mr. Wesley Hamilton. How are you, Wes?
I'm great. What's up, everybody? How are you doing? Yeah, I'm feeling good. Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
He's smiling big. And I didn't get on that Monday meeting the day after. I was like, oh, I was gonna have to listen to Wes gloat and gloat and gloat. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And that was a tight game too.
It was a tight game. But the winner prevailed.
I had no skin in the game. The Rams pulled out for LA. I'm in Pittsburgh currently. And I was behind you, Wes, so I was very happy. Oh
well,
my
you
gosh.
you know, honestly, but that's what to hone into even what we're talking about today. Like I it's crazy, but when Kansas City wins sports is the only time that I feel that the city comes together.
Okay.
And because we are talking about Black History Month and love and things like that, I just like to highlight, and this is why I get the good feeling because I know what my city can become. But because Kansas City has always been so black and white, and the way that I try to describe it this week to someone was none of the intersections of what these colors represent matters in Kansas City to me. If you're black, you're black. It doesn't matter if you represent a different culture or whatever. If you're white, and that has its own issues, right? It puts everybody in a box until sports happen. And then when sports happens, everybody comes together, and it doesn't matter, where you're from. It does. I mean, you're hanging out with people that on a good day you're not hanging out with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just speaks on how much can something joyful bring people together, but the
Mm-hmm.
things that we deal with socially can make us all mixed up, where we create these levels of hate or judgment for the next person that doesn't look like us. But when we all wear the same color and we're all representing the same thing, it seems like we come together. And so if that was the only time that I know my city actually shows the love that they have for each other, it's
Yeah.
something that I like to embrace because I know so much of the trauma that it holds there.
Yeah. That was landed so well with me. And that's what we were talking about before we got on this call, you guys, live with you all. It's Black History Month, but we celebrate all year round because it's who we are.
Yes.
um, but I think it is a good time to center ourselves around Blackness and to take a month to celebrate it. And I think it's beautiful too that it is in February. Um, because Carter G. Woodson wanted to have a Negro History Week. And it was real important to show what we're doing. And my feeling and my understanding, it wasn't about looking at our history, which it has been now, like learn Rosa Parks, learn Martin Luther King Jr., which we know that's fine. But there's so much more to us as Black folks. And there's such a richer, deeper, more beautiful history. And here in America, we look at the trauma, every month, like, okay, well, here we go. The pain that lives within us. I got to look at lynchings. I know it happened and it hurts. And so, Wes and I have come together because there is love in our community. There's love in our world. And, there's Black love. And Black love isn't hypersexualized like we see in media, in music. There are facets to love. And we wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah, seriously. When you think about Black love celebrates and uplifts Black culture, right? Like when you see Black people come together and they express love towards each other, they're celebrating. You know, they're celebrating their history, their uniqueness, their heritage. And I think that, like, at least it's good to have this conversation, because when you think about, you know, black culture and black love, it is definitely suppressed, right? And it has its own narrative that's constantly being pushed out to, you know, and we won't go so much into the traumatizing history, but the narrative has always been to create a negative mindset. Let's put it like that. That lacks love, that lacks celebrating your brothers and sisters as much as maybe you're just trying to live or move forward, right? And so when you think about that love, is yeah, it comes from, it's not just like you say, like it's not just like a relationship. It's the love from your grandmother, because of the trauma that they've been through so long, that they become empathetic and understanding to your ups and downs. The love from your mother, that no matter what you do, you can always go back, right? Like it's like, because they understand that we are going through such a hard, difficult time,
Yeah.
no matter how the years go, you know. So again, like, I just wanted to throw that out, because you know, when I hear black love from certain people, they always try to put it and throw it into a relationship. And it is, everything is a relationship, whether it's a personal one or a business one. But at the same time, like, I don't need to know you to celebrate you as a black person,
Mhm.
you
Oh,
know.
that's good. I don't need to know you to celebrate you.
Like, when I see people, I'm right on, my brother. I see you out here. Right on, my sister. You're beautiful. Look at that hair. Like, we're celebrating the things that this country has made us avoid or hate about ourselves so long.
Right, 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 and that acknowledgement, I mean, even if it's just like a head nod, a
Yeah.
smile, and that is love. And as you were speaking, I was thinking of how we have loved each other, and that has gotten us to this point. The resiliency that love has brought us as a culture has brought us to this point. You know, we were taken out of countries, multiple countries in Africa, and
Yes.
brought on a ship here. There were different tribes, there were different languages, there were different cultures. Like, just because somebody is from the African continent doesn't mean like they're all the same, right? So you have extracted people who were put into bondage and came together out of love, and they have survived. Many people didn't, but I submit it was the love that brought them through, the love of community, the love of the Black church, which was created in that system because that was the only time folks could get together. And I like how you were saying there are different types of love. I love when I see, kids with their dads, or kids with their moms, or with the whole family unit, or with their aunties, with their grandparents, with their friends. The joy and the laughter that people have together, a group of, like-minded, like all boys, all girls, all, queer, all 16-year-olds, all, you know what I mean? And then when you put that layer of everyone's Black, it's like, I don't have to explain my hair to you because you have the same hair and you understand, and that's why you love it. I don't have to explain why I wear things a certain way. I don't have to explain the way I talk or why my family acts a certain way. So, one thing that I just suggest in this month is, Wes and I, we journal. We try to keep ourselves engaged in mindfulness practices. They might look different all the time, or they're consistent every day. Either way, but practice your love.
Mm, yeah.
Take time
Oh,
this month to love yourself. Write it down, write affirmations to yourself. Say the words, say, I love you. What are some love practices that you would suggest, Wes, to folks?
no, that's good. I think the affirmation part is good. Um, Loving yourself means putting the right things into your body.
Mm,
You know, because you can have a toxic mind from toxic foods. And so I'm a firm believer of that. That's very much of a matter of self care. So that's definitely a form of love. Um, exercising. We talk a lot about that. So
Mhm.
rather you're just moving your body or you actually doing something physically, pushing yourself and resisting training. Like I think that's a form of love because you are allowing yourself to be stronger than you think. Um, and then compassion, being able to go out and be kind to others is a beautiful form of love without needing anything back. And I think that is something that a lot of people miss too. It's like people won't give because they are waiting to receive. And instead of just from the heart, like love, that's a form of love when you give from the heart because you're giving without anything or without wanting anything back. That's where the compassion, the kindness, the empathy, that's the heart speaking. And so, yeah, to me, I think those are great ways, to love on yourself. Like in because once you love on yourself, you freely love you give love freely to others. That's just yeah. There,
That's
yeah.
nature. That's
It,
how the
it is nature, right? Like, but when you hate yourself, you're hating others. You're spewing out that hate in so many different ways. And I only know that because I did it personally. And now the love I have is the love I give, right? And so, yeah, we got to do those practices.
and so that brings me back to this, we're celebrating Black History Month. You spew what is within you. And like you said, you did it to yourself. I did it to myself. I treated my body bad, or I let people treat me bad because I felt like the outer appearance. I was like, I'm good. I got this. I'm okay. I could put on the makeup and I can act. But society, we talk about this all the time when we talk about, like what Resima Menakem says, we all live under a white supremacist society. All of us do. White people do, Asian people do, Black people do, Latino people do, South Asian people. I mean, we all do. And so we're taught to look at something that looks good that it doesn't reflect us at all. So we don't see a celebration. We do currently, but really through school and through everything, we saw no celebration of who we were. And that's what Black History Month, I want to emphasize, learn the history, but also, learn these individuals who created created our country.
Yeah.
A lot of things that are lights, even street lights, medicines. I just read an article in the New York Times. I'll have to pull it up while we're talking. The COVID vaccine that was spearheaded by an African American woman who is from North Carolina, was
Mhm.
educated in North Carolina. She's the one who spearheaded the team. There's a picture of her talking to then Fauci and our ex president and a team. That's the history that we should acknowledge and we should celebrate, and that should be really lifted up because we come from a great lineage. We are resilient, we are survivors, but we're also thrivers. And I look at you, Wes, as that, like, you're thriving, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that you didn't suffer and go through
Yeah.
some things.
It's funny, April, when you say that is, I was thinking about, no, I was going through my emails one day and I was looking up something. I think I was looking up something on Black people and disabilities, and I just wanted to see if there was anything that came through. And I went past this article, and I'm looking at it, and it's giving all this history and all this stuff, and it had like bios of Black people, that are in today's, world that are doing amazing things. And I was on there.
Get out! Are you for real?
I was. It really like blew my mind. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in an article about like people you should know, and it was like, okay, that really made me feel good.
That's good. Let's celebrate that. That's Black love. See, I love my brother doing his thing. That's so, to me, it would seem surreal. Like, oh, I'm just reading this little article. You're like, oh, snap.
It was, and I mean, like, of course, like I'm definitely big this year moving forward on making sure that we are seen outside of all things and we
Mm,
are heard with the authentic voices that we have and not with the voice that has been, some type of generalized or whatever by society itself. And so when I think about that, this year was like I did some posts on, you might catch me. I'm becoming more apologetic, on a lot of things. Last year was rough for me, as most people know. I was
yeah.
quiet, only did work that I felt like I was committed to. This year, I'm freely doing what I need to do to serve the communities that I feel like I can reach. And so when I think about that, I thought about Black History Month, and I thought about all the organizations that didn't speak this
Mm,
year. Um, we talk about it a lot, right? But it constantly is like a dagger. Companies. Last year, I'm came to LA, and you might remember, beginning of the year, I did a Gymshark um, campaign, and it
yeah.
was for Black History Month. I did it with Jason Wilson, brother Jason, a young lady named Meg Douglas that's out there in LA, I think, and she does like holistic stuff, very impactful Black figures. What I'm getting to is there was no Black History Month campaign this year from Gymshark.
Mm,
For me, it was very like it made me feel like, I'm thinking you're shifting. And so I
mm,
get to be a part of that shift. But instead I was just a part of an image that you wanted to push out for to see what it could do for your numbers.
yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then when I started looking at other things outside of like a company, but looking at organizations, I made sure and was very intentional with disabled, but not really, to push out more about Black and disabilities and celebrate that through my nonprofit, because I realized that even through Black History Month, even organizations are trying to make their companies comfortable or their consumers comfortable by not really speaking so much on the communities that they speak highly about when they're looking for funding. And I
Mm,
will continue because I hear it all the time, right? Like, and I'm not saying you have to do a lot, but it's celebrating the individuals that you look down on. You see, you're going to constantly look down on them if you're not celebrating them.
right.
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 Like, and so if you don't find a way to be able to uplift and spend one day and say, hey, I'm gonna go on here. I think I made a post and said, well, y'all might need to change who y'all hiring for social media managers and companies if you can't make a post on Black History Month on the first day of Black History Month, not in the middle of the month after people have said things to you.
You're like, that's not a good look. And it's so not genuine. And oh my
And it
gosh,
doesn't show the love.
right, to show the love, and that goes back to how we opened when we were talking about Kansas City celebrating, but coming together under that sense of joy and achievement, and that's it. Like, when you can laugh with someone, when you can break bread with someone, when you could dance next to someone, when you bring your body into a space, and that's why I really believe, like, I taught, 2 Black history, not Black history things, but I did a collective healing, at CMU, at Carnegie Mellon, for a group, and I was sharing, like, when your body is settled, you bring that settled body into spaces, and so being able to have that sense of joy and comfort with, like you said, if you can celebrate Black folks, you'll learn more. You'll begin to break down the biases that have been taught to you and that you believe to be true when you put yourself in a space and you see the reality of what it is. And you're right, Wes. Like, I ain't seen nobody say Black Lives Matter and we celebrate. Nobody has put that on its social media. And I was looking, all these job cuts that happen,
Mhm.
people had teams of DEIJ people, and
Mhm.
those were kind of some of the same people who got cut. Got all these tech, Microsoft, Facebook, everybody, those are the teams that got lost. And a lot of people have been talking about, like, this used to be their busiest month for
Mhm.
speaking and
Yeah.
teaching. facilitation and workshops, and it's been cut. And it's like, what do we do with that?
And I think we have to hone in and understand our true what we have to do as a people as well then, right? Because,
Hmm.
just being honest, 2020, we made a lot of people comfortable because
Yeah,
we did share knowledge, but we also got on panels. We allowed ourselves to be exhausted by our reliving trauma after trauma to help other people be educated to only
great. That
go
was the word.
2 years later, 3 years later, and now we're like seeing the stuff in Florida where history books are being taken out, right? Like, and then we're seeing stuff in all these other areas where it's lack of acknowledgement. We understand you want to erase a history that will make everybody else look crazy, right? But at the same time, it just only speaks to the it speaks loud without saying a lot of noise, right?
Hmm.
But I think that's where the love comes in. That's where Black people have to come back in and be like, okay, we got to celebrate each other. We have to have conversations for each other, right? Like, we can't just have these conversations for other people that once they get confirmation of who we are, now they still go back to how they overlook us, right? Like, because that's
Right.
what it feels like in a lot of ways. And not just for me, because I definitely create my own reality now. And I love that. But
Yeah.
I won't say that it has not shown from a higher standpoint of how much people will try to quiet you or not even market you anymore because it's not actually benefiting their business or company,
Yeah.
right? And so it makes you go back to how much you were tokenized in 2020.
Mm.
I
True.
mean, and in the years after for campaigns, like we were like, oh man, this person on this person on that, and even for me, I'm like, all right, I'm on this show. Like, I remember getting flew into certain things, but these are the same people that are speaking so highly, but have still not acknowledged, right?
Right.
I'm not the only Black disabled individual out here, so I shouldn't keep seeing me,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's these things. How much work are you doing in these communities to celebrate really?
Right. 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 Every day, all the time. If you want to uplift and support and center. And this is a thing that's so important that I think people understand. The civil rights movement, the even before I didn't know this, but when we came out of the war, um, the Civil War, there was a time where like the KKK didn't exist. And I didn't realize that. But that the horrible, awful movie, Birth of a Nation, which is taught in universities to this day as being one of the best movies ever made and set the standard for how movies are made, that movie had such a huge impact. And I remember learning about it in college and stuff. That caused the resurgence of the KKK. And that's ties into what we're talking about right now because again, representation matters. Showing um, there's good, bad, and ugly and indifferent in every culture, every society, everywhere. But when all you show is the negative, or by omission, you don't show anything, you are setting us up. And the struggles that African Americans have gone through Reconstruction, they were in government offices, and then we were suppressed. Um, that was the launching pad for the women's feminist movement, so women could get a right to vote. That was the launching pad for all of these other underserved, under-resourced groups to move forward. They saw what we were doing. We learned, Dr. King talks a lot about how he learned a lot from Gandhi. So we learn from each other on the world stage, and it's really important that companies, people, society not shy away from centering Blackness, because in centering Blackness, you will reflect the world. And that's something I really want people to understand.
I love that. I love that. I'll let you go ahead with your dogs, April. Because
Right?
listen, y'all, I'm over here traveling, and I don't know who's next door to me, but it's about 20 kids over there, y'all, and they over there kicking it. I heard them till midnight last night. Oh my God, they can't sleep. Okay, it's so funny, y'all, but I had to throw that out. No, April, I love what you said about just, when you're not celebrating it. See, it's funny because all these people are making it seem like it's such a hard job to go into the black community and bring people out. But you don't understand how easy it would be if you celebrate black people. See, if you celebrate and we're seen and that representation is shown organically, then you make people comfortable enough to come to you. You make them come to you and see your services because they see themselves. But once you avoid that because you're not comfortable to actually celebrate, then what happens is now they don't feel like they can come. They're not comfortable. It's just not right, right? And so again, like celebrate us. I have put up this thing and I want to read it. It was saying, like when we talk about like black love, it said black love counters negative stereotypes. Unfortunately, Black people are often subjected to negative stereotypes in the media and popular culture. Black love serves as a powerful counter narrative to these stereotypes, demonstrating that Black people are capable of forming strong, loving, and healthy relationships. And again, that's all you're doing when you're celebrating. You're showing love to someone for their success or for them actually not hiding their identity, right? And allowing you to understand that their identity is what they represent and you accept that. And so you we're asking for each and everybody to love thy brother, thy sister, right? But also celebrate.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is funny. It does sound like a party next door. You're gonna get the real deal from us.
Lord, we got 30 more minutes, y'all. We about to have a party.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I
funny because look at my shirt. Y'all know I was
ready.
gonna do it, right?
He's ready. Look, and I'm gonna tell your business too. You guys, he is sitting in the state of Pennsylvania. He's not in Pittsburgh, but he's like in Pennsylvania showing out with the Kansas City Chiefs stuff on.
I do. As soon as I'm done, I got my hat, my champion hat on. I get to go to the airport today.
Hopefully he makes it home. They might be like, "Nah, you ain't going home." Oh
That's
my
so funny.
gosh. We're gonna celebrate. We're gonna celebrate. But we really wanted to again come on you guys and um usually I get on there's always stuff that happens, right? So the beginning of the month, I'm like, we got to talk about Tyree Nichols. And, you know, I was going to go on a whole nother thread on police violence and how they make us disabled. And Wes is like, okay, April. But we would also probably want to talk about everything that's happening in the world. And then we landed on, it's important to focus on this love piece because there's so much trauma. I had a conversation just yesterday and somebody was saying like, I feel really weighed down with everything. With the earthquake that I mean, what over 40,000 lives lost?
Earthquake. I don't know what you just said. I think gave me off
Earthquake.
guard. I was like, earthquake. What is the earthquake?
Have you been in an earthquake yet?
I've dealt with the aftershock.
Okay, okay, okay.
Actually, it was scary because I didn't know what happened. It was just like this big, like
Yeah,
really quick, and I was like, did this whole room just shake?
yeah,
It was
yeah.
like 3 in the morning. I just woke up, and yeah.
It's scary. And to hear like I mean, we've lost so many souls and lives with that. That's traumatic. And I know there are populations of people from Turkey or from Syria and from Turkey who live throughout the world. The Tyree Nichols murder, again, that was some, you can't even explain it. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about white supremacist system. That was a group of officers that were primarily Black. There were some white officers too, a Black police chief, and I'm not saying it's her fault or anything, but we're talking about the systems we operate in. When I gave that history about Reconstruction and Birth of a Nation and the KKK rising up, like the police, the institution of police, the history comes from capturing slaves, protecting white landowners and slave owners. Like that's the history, and that history hasn't evolved very much. And so, like, in training and police trainings, there was a time, and I don't know what it is like now, but they go through those simulations to learn, reaction and when to use their weapons and all of that. Every person that would pop up on those things would be Black. And so to see again today, Wes, as you were talking about, 2020 happened and the same shit's happening today,
Yep.
you know?
And it
Um,
and it's reliving. It's reliving, and the media is pushing it off. And you have everyone that shares but don't celebrate. Like it's good to share Black trauma and say that you for the cause, but it's crazy when you don't speak nothing else about Black things or Black issues outside of what you see on television or what's just a thing. I'm not saying that it was a thing. People could be very empathetic to all the situations, but when you constantly keep reliving it,
mhm,
there has to be more action done from the outside groups that feel so compassionate to share our trauma and make us relive it, right? Like I took pride in so many Black individuals that took the time and said, I'm not sharing this video this time.
I didn't. I haven't even
Right?
looked
I
at it.
didn't even watch it.
Yep.
Like, and but I it did not stop the amount of individuals that did share it that didn't look like us.
Mhm.
And it was more, I would, and they could have felt bad, but it's like, why share and not speak, right?
Right.
Like, why not speak up first and then maybe allow society to push it out, right? We see
Right.
the issue. My point is, like you said, like we just keep reliving things. And I think that's just, again, bringing it back into this conversation of Black love and what I think is important, even for me and my work this year and moving forward, to make sure that I am definitely being more impactful in the communities that I represent, from the Black and disabled community to the Black community itself.
Yeah.
Because for the last 2 years, I've served so everyone, and yet those individuals have yet to serve me.
Yeah.
And when I mean serving me, I mean from a visibility standpoint, from
Yeah.
a acknowledgement standpoint. Like I don't even think, like, when I run a nonprofit that is doing pretty damn well,
Right.
yet Kansas City don't acknowledge it because I'm a
Mhm.
Black nonprofit founder working with disabilities, where disability social model doesn't look Black.
And so many layers, like so many layers. And there's and you may have already seen this on Instagram. I saw it on Instagram, but there's an organization for Coachella, and they're specifically,
I love it. My girl Carrie. Oh, I love Carrie.
when I love it. I was like, specific for Black, brown, disabled folks, because it is so white centered. And even when we talk about, there was a study that just came out this week about black women and pregnancy, right? Mortality with pregnancy. The study came out and said that rich black women who have money, are more apt to have higher child mortality, children dying during birth, than white folks or poor Black women. Like, and that shows you it's why.
Right.
That's the system. And then you think about, like, I'm having to navigate the system now in a different way than I ever have in my life. And it's like, I'm telling you, you're almost scared, because you're like, how do I know that this person is looking at me through a lens that's unbiased? And am I going to get the same health care? Am I going to get the same treatments? And am I going to get the same options as
Yeah.
other folks? And when we acknowledge we don't, we come together.
Yeah. Yeah, because that means that allows everyone to know that no matter where you are, we're still facing the same differences.
Right.
I look at my success and I take pride in it, but I look at the lack of acknowledgement to help the success even reach further.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, oh no, they definitely put a stop to where they thought I could reach. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, even with the jobs and opportunity, I don't take them no more because you're not giving me hush money.
There you go.
So like if it's not aligned to me where I can really represent, I don't want to be with none of these companies that don't speak to me. I was broke before. I needed some money, but now I'm like, but now,
Now I can make my decision. And that's part of love. That's part of that self-love. Like the hustle's real. You got to
yeah,
do what you got to do, you guys. At this and for many, 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 many years, we had to sacrifice what we valued in order to survive.
yeah,
Well, we've survived, so now we can use more discretion, and that is power in and of itself. You better go, West. So I wanted to drop this real quick, and then we want to talk about some things. But I read the New York Times, but this was in. Can you guys see that? I don't want to share my screen saver, but you see that team? That's who created the COVID vaccine. You see who's standing in the front? She was the lead in it, Dr. Mekla Corbett. And she still is. Celebrate that kind of history, you guys. Celebrate what we're doing now and continue on this journey of. That's another thing I'm going to say. Like, write down your affirmations or just speak them. Self care, as Wes said, just you show you value yourself. And then, two, we're not trying to tell you how to live your life or what to do, but a part of self care and self love is not looking at all this stuff. Like, I never watched that video of Tyree Nichols. I refuse to watch it. I didn't watch the video of, in Monterey Park in California, there was like a massive shooting in our Asian community. And, there's been an outpouring of Asian hate.
yeah,
And I literally say an outpouring. I'm born and raised in California. We learn about the Japanese internment. Like, it's always been there. And listen, they bought Chinese people over here to build those railroads. They had Black folks working on those railroads. Like, we have been in this struggle together. And what affects one affects us all. And again, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to celebrate Blackness. We're going to center Blackness because it's a reflection of everything else. So with that being said, so you can skedaddle, what have you been reading and listening to lately, Wes?
um, honestly, let's see, what was my latest book I did? It's crazy because I should know it because it was another Napoleon Hill. Though. I'm getting stuck on this dude. I mean, I don't know. It's his philosophy. I think that just really keeps being very interesting to me. And I think now it's just the at least the literature that I'm getting or like interviews and some of his actual work outside of just him writing. And so it was Success Habits was
Okay.
what I kind of honed in, and that was like at the beginning of the year. But now, currently, I'm actually going back into just my Black literature. Um, you know, I yeah, like I want to read more autobiographies about Black folk.
Mhm.
I want to learn more so that I can celebrate more. And so I think that's so Black Magic. That's one of my favorite books, but I love it. And so I think that's kind of where I'm about to hone back into because it really talks about today's social issues, but it also celebrates certain leaders that are going through and doing things in today's era.
Yeah.
Um, and so Black Magic by Chad Saunders. I highly recommend it as always, but that's where I'm going into next. And then I would honestly say, April, I've just been kind of, even with podcasts and things, I'm not going so much into the podcasting if they don't have enough Black talent. So like
Mm.
I'm even going into that now because it can't be one-sided when you're talking about self-care and self-help. It can't be one-sided when you're talking about trauma and things like I don't want to hear someone else that's healing from privilege. And I'm not, and I want to hear someone that actually went through a struggle similar to mine, and now they actually can tell me how they dug out the bottom of the barrel with still being surrounded by hate, and that you can see that resilience from that individual. You can see
Yeah.
that, you can feel that. And I'm not saying people go not going through things. What I'm saying is that America still has an issue of acknowledging privilege in this world, in this country, and I see it through the things that I've been consuming.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of consuming things where I can't visually see me, because the trauma is not the same. I mean, even look at right now, most people are their history is celebrated every day, yet ours is put to 28 days, and we are still not celebrated if it's not us doing the celebrating.
Oh my gosh, if we weren't out there like you said, doing it ourselves, you wouldn't. I know
Yeah,
I've gone through some years where the whole month has passed, and I was like, "Oh, what?"
I'm waiting.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
So, but real quick, I had got this email from a friend, and it was something that was new to me. But since she's from California, her name is, so I got this article about a lady named Johnny Lacey. Have you ever heard of her?
I haven't.
So the article says an African American woman's perspective on the independent living movement in the Bay Area from 1960 to 1980.
Oh, I hadn't heard of her.
I will share this article with you, April. And guys, if you are part of our newsletter, maybe we can be able to put this in our newsletter. And if not, go to and make sure that you are subscribing to our newsletter so you can
Yes.
stay up to date, because we will be putting some of this information in there so you guys can be able to go back and retract what we talked about.
Yeah, we love it, and we have shorts. They're taking this and putting it in podcasts. Send me that article. I finished this book, How We Show Up, Reclaiming Family, Friendship, and Community by Mia Birdsong. And I'm sharing that because I think it speaks to what Wes is talking about. Being surrounded with community, like-minded individuals, it really helps you build your resistance. And then I just started reading Michelle Obama's The Light We Carry. And I thought it was going to be like a fluffy piece. It's good.
Oh,
So
nice.
we'll put these definitely in our newsletter. Wes, I appreciate you and your intentionality, especially what we've done. I appreciate it because I always get motivated from you. I'm the one who'd be like, oh no, and you're like, no, let's do it, and then you just do it. And Leon didn't make it today, but that's okay. We're gonna invite him back. That brother's out here trying to make things work, and he is working.
He is working, and I definitely feel like, um, yeah, we'll bring him in. Hopefully, probably just the next conversation. Definitely very engaged, but the time we kind of just had it mixed up. I think like 6 a.m. his time this
Yeah.
morning. So yeah, me and him are on the wrong side right now. We need to switch around, right?
Right. Exactly. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? So
um, well, one thing, April, I want to leave everybody with 5 affirmations that are based on love. How about that, right? So first one is love is abundant and ever present in my life. I am deserving of love and capable of giving and receiving it. Love brings joy, fulfillment, and meaning to my life. I approach love with an open heart and mind, free of judgment and fear. I am grateful for the love that surrounds me and for the opportunity to experience it in all forms.
that's a beautiful way to end. I'm gonna capture that and share that with the group as well. So I love you, and I
I love
appreciate
you too.
our time.
And
And
we love Amy.
we're supposed to act like she ain't there, but she there. We love Amy.
We might have to go ahead and throw on a Rihanna track so y'all can see how good Amy talents
Y'all.
are. You know
Oh
what I'm
my God. Have our own
saying?
pro up here. Um, have safe travels, and everyone, love yourself, love others, receive love. You are worthy of receiving love. Love is a risk, and in every relationship, in every mother, daughter, family, sons, dads, moms, sons, all of it. but receive love because that'll keep you going.
All right. And if you don't know me, just know I love you. Thank y'all. Have
Love
an
you.
amazing day.
Bye.